Hello, welcome to Global Eye. 2023 was a historic year for India-US relations. Prime Minister Modi had at least 5 interactions with President Biden, and the highlight of the year was the Prime Minister's visit to the United States. The Prime Minister had a detailed bilateral meeting with President Biden, addressed a joint meeting of the US Congress, and interacted with business leaders. The US approved a path-breaking deal between GE and India's HAL for co-production of F414 engines in India. These would power India's fighter jets in the future. US chipmaker Micron also announced its plans to set up a semiconductor plant in India. Both nations launched an innovation handshake to further collaboration on critical and emerging technology. India has decided to procure MQ-9B Sea Guardian drones from General Atomics and also announced a ship repair agreement. To talk about the momentum in India-US ties and what to expect for the business and economic partnership between the two countries is USISP Chairman John Chambers, who is extremely bullish on India. You wrote a long LinkedIn post recently about your top predictions for 2024. You had predictions for India, which has a potential to become the manufacturing powerhouse of the world, and also recommendations and predictions on the biggest disruptions of 2024. Let me begin by asking you about the US-India partnership. There has been great momentum over the years. If there were areas that you would look out for in 2024, big themes that you would see the two countries build on, what would those be for next year?
Well, Parikshit, it's a pleasure to be with you today, and I enjoy doing this with CNBC each year in terms of the opportunities to see the future. Just for your viewers, quick credibility, and literally 2020 and in January, we said there were issues coming out of China with a flu-like challenge that we felt would have an economic impact not only in Southeast Asia, but around the world. Unfortunately, that turned out to be COVID. In 2021, we said even with the issues of COVID, it will be an okay economic year, obviously very challenging from the human suffering that occurred, and that turned to be accurate. Then in 2022, we said the issue would shift from COVID to inflation for the global economy, and that you would see a slowing, and that you would see an emergence of AI as the largest technology change in total for the market. And then as we move forward in 23, it was an agility issue. This year, it's going to be all about AI, and it's going to be about how AI will be the most ground-changing technology ever in history, the equivalent of the internet and the cloud combined, and that India and the U.S. working close together can lead this on a global basis to the benefit not just of businesses in both countries, but to every citizen in both countries, and be a model for the rest of the world. So extremely bullish on what the opportunity is here. And as I've said many times before recently, including in front of Prime Minister Modi in his state visit to the U.S. in the summer when I introduced him to the business community, India will become the #1 economy in the world. Something people had not focused on before. It's inevitable if you look at what is going on mathematically with the current momentum.
Right. You're saying that India will become the #1 economy in the world. I'd like to ask you about areas where you feel US businesses are going to invest more in India. Do you see a growth in US FDI, US investments going into the Indian manufacturing sector, the Indian startup sector in 2024?
The answer is absolutely yes. And this might have been a point when we had founded US-India Strategic Partnership Forum 7 years ago, and we said this would be the most strategic relationship between any two countries. And even some of our members were hesitant about, will this be as big as we think and as transformational? Prime Minister Modi got it. He understood the opportunity there. And what you see is a tremendous confidence by members of the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum, the biggest companies in America and the biggest companies in India working together toward a common goal. The other day, we asked our membership, just for show of hands during one of our board meetings, how many of you are increasing your investment in India? Almost unanimous across the board. The trust and confidence in India is unequaled. I've never seen it stronger in my lifetime. India's moved from a view of a slow follower to a very, very fast strategic partner as you move forward. To your specific areas of investment, I think will be across the board. If you watch the importance of manufacturing in India, digital India, that's such a key objective, especially given the concerns that many companies have about manufacturing in China. Good progress on that. Would like to see it go even faster. AI India, whether you call it, as Prime Minister Modi said, America and India, or really the next generation technology. By working together, we can lead this on a global basis, both at the big company level, also at the startup level, and bring the benefits to everyone in society as this transforms our economies and standard of living in a very positive area. But it goes everywhere. It's how can the startups really make a difference? Two of my hottest startups, I have 9 unicorns out of 20 of my investments, and I'm a small venture capitalist, strategic coach, if you will, but a pretty good track record there. Unifor is doing the best job maybe in the world on AI technology for business to business and crossed the 100 million ARR rate with tremendous speed here recently. If you watch what Umesh is doing as CEO, it was a company that I invested in the very early stage in India when I met him at an MIT conference in India as one of the hot startups. And then Saket Modi, no relationship to the Prime Minister, in the area of cybersecurity and cyber risk analysis, another really hot startup that is occurring. So hot areas for technology, clearly the continued expansion of cloud, but that's really the last generation. It's now about AI will be the technology, and this will be the decade of AI for the next 10 years plus. I would argue it will be the decade for India in total for the next 10 years plus. And then cybersecurity gets really exciting with areas such as deepfake, risk analysis, cyber insurance, and the hacks that will inevitably occur in many businesses.
Right. Just to ask you about AI specifically, because you had said that this will be the biggest disruptor. We will see the decade of AI beginning next year. What is the one issue that India needs to leverage if it wants to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to artificial intelligence, according to you?
If I may take a little bit of liberty and say the two issues. The first issue is India is a tremendous resource of young people who are very optimistic, average age of under 26 or under, speaks to a generation and generation of new job creators, innovators, et cetera, in a market where India's population will go from 1.4 billion to 2 billion at the time China's population goes from 1.3 to 800 million. The math, I think all of us can get on that. But it is the sense of confidence in the training. The IITs and others are turning out almost 1 million engineers a year in terms of young people who really want to participate in this transition for it. And then the second thing that I think India does so well, it plans out and dreams what's possible. It sets audacious goals. It has the courage to track those through, and it has the courage also to do it in ways that others have not done it, such as the strategic partnership between the U.S. and India. And something we said in USISPF literally 7 years ago when we were founded, it will not only become the most strategic relationship in the world between two countries, it will become the model for the rest of the world with major economic benefit to every citizen, every country. Many people thought that was a dream too far. It's turned out to be very accurate. Hopefully, you will see the same type of predictions we're making today carry forward. If you agree with everything I say, I probably have not challenged myself or you far enough, but I think many of these things are inevitable if we execute right.
Right. If I were to ask you about your statement on India becoming the manufacturing powerhouse, the #1 economy in the world, if there were certain issues holding India back right now, what would those be?
I think the #1 issue, and we've made great progress in it, but still have a ways to go, is to make it seamless as you go from state to state, to make it easy to move products around within the country, because most of the supply chains are multiple states. If you look in the U.S. or you look in China or you look in Europe, it goes across multiple geographies. The more seamless you can make on that, it becomes very key. And then you've got to have a very clear goal. As we manufacture in India, we've got to be cost-wise very competitive with the rest of the world to achieve that opportunity. I remember being on stage with Prime Minister Modi when he introduced, and Ahmad Khan was there as well, the digital India for manufacturing. And it was a vision then, but if you watch the progress, we made progress every year toward that end goal. So I think it's continuing to make it easier to do business. It's attracting the direct investments with semiconductor companies, which we're making good progress on, and other companies such as GE that are investing in India with their aircraft engines, et cetera. So I'd give us good progress, but still a ways to go there. It is so critical for the average Indian to know that they don't have to be an engineer to really participate in this new economy. You can work in manufacturing, you can work in healthcare, you can work in government. And that's what I like about a Digital India program.
On that note, we take a short break, but this interview with John Chambers continues on the other side. Don't go anywhere.